On February 24th, it was announced Bronx drill rapper K-Flock was just indicted by a federal grand jury for a bunch of new racketeering, conspiracy charges, also known as RICO charges, which then led to academics stating feds just unsealed an indictment on K-Flock for a RICO charge. The mandatory minimum if he doesn't beat those charges or snitch is life in prison. He is still facing state charges that has him locked up. Now this made many wonder, when will K-Flock ever be released from prison if possible, as it was just announced a release date is possible for the New York rapper, and this will reveal the date. Now it starts with his lawyer releasing a statement regarding K-Flock and his future after the RICO charge was announced, where it states, "We're not surprised by the federal charges as we have been defending Kevin's state charges for over a year now. Considering the incident was a clear act of self-defense, it wasn't a particularly strong charge, but now that it's being used as a basis for a possible penalty charge is extraordinary. On video, it is crystal clear that Kevin was about to be affected after attempting to walk away from another person. Only then did Kevin use an item to defend himself from another armed team member who was about to pull out his firearm from out of his pocket." Now Kevin in that statement is K-Flock. Now K-Flock's lawyer also then did an interview on live news where he stated this about the New York rapper.
"When the guy hits the ground and is found, he's got a loaded that was in his pocket that his hand was on at the time. You know, we consider that to be self-defense."
So he did take him in self-defense.
That's what the allegation is. You know, I don't want to talk too much about the details of the case,
Okay.
but the government claims that he pulled the, but at the same time, the person that was on the ground had his hand on a loaded, illegal loaded, apparently about Kevin.
Okay. So without saying too much, you're arguing obviously self-defense. That's the crux.
You know,
of the case.
that could be one of the arguments, self-defense. And I would say to the public, you know, somebody's walking up to you with a loaded, it's pretty clear is going to use it, with a criminal record a mile long. Do you want to get, or do you not want to?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't hesitate to pull the.
When the K-Flock RICO case would get announced on live news and his lawyers speaking out publicly about it, we would see rappers even react as this is a huge deal, as we saw Bobby say this.
What's it like for you watching the K-Flock thing happen? That's crazy. Next big artist coming out of New York.
I love Flock, so I like that. I like that. That's my guy.
Okay.
But you know, I'm wishing him the best right now, you know what I'm saying? And you know, for the alleged charges they pushing on him, you know what I'm saying? I'm wishing his family the best. I'm wishing the whole team the best and everything, you know what I'm saying? And I hope he beat them alleged charges, you know what I'm saying? Because he got a lot of future brightness. He got, and I hope, you know what I'm saying? Everything just wake all the young kids up, like how fat it is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That would be a sad story if that's the end of the.
No, man, we ain't gonna think like that, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta stay positive.
And this would even lead to one of K-Flock's best friends, B-Love, stating this.
Okay, but so I saw some fans who were off at both me and academics after K-Flock got locked up because well, just because I guess, like, you know, in our tone when we talked about it, you know, it might have seemed like we were being a little too presumptuous. But is that weird for you? Because I'm sure you see people all the way from rappers to whoever acting like, you know, your boy is just done and he's cooked in this situation.
I ain't gonna lie, people, especially people that don't even be knowing, like, y'all don't even know what's going on, bro.
Leave a like on the video if you're a fan of K-Flock. I'm curious how many fans are watching today. Knowing K-Flock's lawyer's plans for inside of the courtroom for his defense helps figure out what the rapper's release time from prison might be. With K-Flock and his lawyer pleading a self-defense claim inside of the courtroom, they will need to prove that this is the truth of the situation that occurred on December 23rd, 2021, as this incident involving Kevin, aka K-Flock, and another individual named Oscar Hernandez, who sadly passed in the situation, as on December 23rd, New York rapper K-Flock was seen on surveillance walking down the street in New York City. K-Flock is the one wearing the designer coat, jeans, as well as a shiesty mask. He's also seen walking past a barbershop who had Oscar Hernandez on the inside. With K-Flock walking down the street with his sister and friend, he would then walk by the barbershop and give a good stare on the inside, staring at an individual for around 20 seconds who is now known as Oscar Hernandez. K-Flock would then be seen continuing to walk away from the barbershop until Oscar Hernandez was seen sprinting out of the store. Oscar Hernandez leaves the barbershop and screams at K-Flock, "Hey, what are you looking at?" With K-Flock then seen turning his back and starting an argument between him and Oscar Hernandez in the middle of the street. The two are then brewing up a loud conversation on the street. Cars that are driving by are seen stopping and staring at the commotion. While the two were sitting there arguing, Oscar Hernandez would then try to do a tactic to scare away K-Flock by kind of reaching at his waistband, trying to pretend like he has a firearm just to scare K-Flock. But in all reality, all this did was trigger K-Flock, as K-Flock would then quickly pull out his firearm, which would then lead to Oscar Hernandez trying to sprint away from K, but it would be too late, as K-Flock was under the assumption that Oscar Hernandez was gonna pull out a firearm in his waistband. So K-Flock was then just trying to defend himself and pull out his first. With K-Flock using his firearm, Oscar Hernandez would now be located near a front door of a little store. All that was left at the scene of this crime was his designer slides he was wearing, as well as shell casings from K-Flock, as people that are in the surrounding area would quickly call an ambulance for Oscar Hernandez, who would be picked up by ambulance as well as driven to the local NYC hospital, but it was sadly just too late. Kevin Perez, professionally known as K-Flock, immediately became the main suspect in the investigation, as while the NYPD were trying to figure out who this was, they would then post this photo to their social medias, asking anyone in the New York area if they know who this masked man is. Now here's where it gets concerning, as K-Flock actually flexed this outfit on social media just earlier on in the day. So within 15 minutes, thousands of people started tagging K-Flock's name into their social media posts, letting the NYPD know that this is New York drill rapper K-Flock, and he was quickly the main suspect with a warrant for his arrest. With K-Flock now being known as the main suspect, Oscar Hernandez would then later get identified by his parents, where his parents would identify him as a delivery man for Uber Eats, as well as a very hard worker with no street ties, as his parents believe that this was a case of mistaken identity, as K-Flock wouldn't have just done this to a random human being, but it had to have been something street related. The NYPD would then later reject that statement from his parents and reveal the truth that Oscar Hernandez was a known street member, and that Oscar Hernandez most likely identified K-Flock himself, and is why he even started the argument to begin with. Once K-Flock's lawyer knew that he had a warrant out for his arrest, his lawyer would then walk him into the NYPD 30th Precinct together, where his lawyer would then release this statement on social media. "Yesterday, I accompanied Kevin as he self-surrendered to detectives in the 30th Precinct. Arrangements were made immediately with the NYPD once I learned that he was a wanted man. As to the charges against him, we have begun our own investigation into these allegations. More importantly, considering the DA's significant disclosure this morning that the NYPD received a tip saying someone else was the hitter, we demanded the DA's office provide disclosure of the videos referenced in the complaint and more information on the tip. We will address bail once we've had a chance to review the case and further investigate." Now, after this statement from his lawyer, this is when the NYPD would release their statement to social media, as they were being spammed online asking, "Why would you arrest K-Flock?" Now, the NYPD believed this incident was street related. This is based on K-Flock's documented affiliation on the Bronx-based Third Side Street team. However, here's the most important way that K-Flock could be released from prison. Now, where K-Flock is standing in this situation is actually on his ops block in New York City. An op realized that K-Flock was walking through their neighborhood and sent a text to their group chat saying K-Flock was in the area. Now, if they can prove that ops were watching for K-Flock walking down on the street, this would, one, not only explain Oscar Hernandez randomly sprinting out of a barbershop to start an argument with K-Flock, but this would also prove the self-defense theory, as if they can prove the ops were were waiting for K-Flock. They knew his location and exactly where he was and outfit that he was wearing. This means that the ops had a motive to go after K-Flock on this day, and all he simply did was just defend himself. But there is just one problem. The one little issue is that self-defense in New York City is practically non-existent. The law in New York City is very different than, let's say, Florida. Having a firearm in general in New York City is highly against the law. The only ones allowed to carry a firearm in New York City is law enforcement, ex-law enforcement, as well as registered security guards with 5 years of experience. So K-Flock having this in general is a prison sentence alone. But let's say for sake of argument, K-Flock can claim the self-defense as easy as he could in Florida. This is sadly immediately thrown out of the case as K-Flock used his firearm against Oscar Hernandez as he was sprinting away from K-Flock. Now, the argument in court would be made of how is K-Flock in fear of the man if he isn't even facing him face to face? And the rest of the evidence is still trying to be figured out by K-Flock and his lawyer. Now, if the self-defense claim works 100% with fancy and tactical lawyer work, K-Flock can be released as soon as the trial ends. If it doesn't end, the New York rapper is looking at serving a life sentence in prison. The K-Flock trial is set to start around the end of the year 2023, leading into the year 2024. So we'll have more information on this soon, so make sure you subscribe.